Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're continuing with our unit on literature. And remember, we're talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And it's all about the monster within, this duality of man. We're both good and evil at the same time. At least that's one of the themes that we're going to talk about in today's program. So remember, the first day we summarized the plot. Last time, of course, we talked about the author, Robert Louis Stevenson, and today, as I just said, we're going to be talking about the themes and ideas in our featured work of literature.
We sure are. But as we always do, we're going to read through today's lesson, and then we'll be back to talk more about the themes and ideas that we think Robert Louis Stevenson was trying to communicate.
The main theme in The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the duality of human nature. In his final letter, Jekyll theorizes that all humans are commingled out of good and evil, and that man is not truly one, but truly two. He thinks the good and evil parts of the human soul are in a constant struggle for dominance. The good side is Jekyll, the gentlemanly, refined man of science, with an honorable place in civilized society. The evil side is Hyde, the animalistic, violent-tempered lowlife who takes pleasure in causing harm to others. By becoming Hyde, Jekyll finds a secret outlet for his primal, uncivilized urges. This transformation is related to the Victorian values of reputation, secrecy, and repression. Educated upper-class men of the time were expected to demonstrate morality and respectability. Changing into Hyde allows Jekyll to maintain his reputation as a good-natured and esteemed scientist, while secretly freeing his evil side, which is repressed by the laws of society. Another central aspect of the novel is the potential dangers of drug use. Jekyll's reliance on potions shows the powerful and potentially dangerous effects of newly invented medicines in the late 1800s. Strong new pain relief drugs like laudanum and cocaine were easily available for medical problems like Stevenson's lifelong respiratory illness. However, these were often highly addictive and caused dependency. It's clear that Jekyll becomes addicted to the potion by the fact that he goes through withdrawal symptoms like isolating himself and being aggressive toward others until he can get the next dose. The story is a chilling portrait of a respectable man ruined by his own brilliant creation.
Okay, guys, we're going to talk about some of the main themes in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The main theme, our article says, is the duality of human nature. Duality, of course, means two, right? You see that word dual in there, two things. I think everybody has some good and some bad in them, of course. Sometimes we need to fight the bad in us. Just as a joke, we often say there's an angel on one shoulder and a little devil on the other shoulder, and each one is whispering in your ear. And sometimes we listen to the little devil too much, and we do the wrong thing. So I think this book has been reproduced so much in film and TV series because it's true to life. Everybody sees themselves as being a little bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde at the same time.
In his final letter, Jekyll theorizes that all humans are commingled out of good and evil, and that man is not truly one, but truly two. So remember, of course, the character in the novel, Dr. Jekyll, he writes a letter, maybe it's his suicide letter or his suicide note or something like that. I think so,
yeah.
Something like that. And he mentions this theory that he has. If you theorize or something, you just talk about a theory or a possible answer you have to a question that people don't really know how to answer. So he theorizes about human nature, and he thinks, hey, everybody, we are all commingled out of good and evil. Commingle here, to me, is not very common. I haven't really seen this word in many years, but basically to commingle just means to mix things together, to blend things together. We're all kind of mixed up with good and evil. We're good and bad at the same time. And he also says man or people. A person is not truly one, but truly two people, the devil and an angel living inside of you all the time.
So he thinks that the good and bad parts of us, or the good and evil parts of the human soul, are in a constant struggle for dominance. Yeah, I can see that. Constant here just means something that continues without ceasing. Constant means it just doesn't stop. It's always happening. I'm on a constant diet. I'm always dieting. I never stop. So it's a constant struggle for me not to eat too many potato chips or chips. I love chips the most. So constant. It's constantly raining in the winter here, so it rains all the time. Constant struggle. Dominance just means something or someone has the power. So if you have dominance over someone, you definitely are more powerful than they are, and you can control them. So inside us, he's saying the good parts of us and the evil parts of us are constantly fighting to see who's going to win, right? Who has dominance? Dominance is the idea that something has won, so you have power or influence over yourself or others.
Right, or a struggle for control, basically. Who's in charge? The struggle for dominance. Who is dominant? That's the adjective form there.
Or sometimes we'll use it for physical problems too. Thomas told me he has one eye that's stronger than the other, so he has a dominant eye. So you can use it that way too.
You certainly can. And here in the next sentence, it says, the good side is Jekyll. Remember, he's the respected scientist. He's a good fellow. And we also describe Dr. Jekyll as being the gentlemanly, refined man of science with an honorable place in civilized society. So again, he's gentlemanly. He behaves like a gentleman. He's refined. He's gone to all the best schools and read the best literature, and he has good manners and stuff like that. And of
He's
course,
probably upper class in England back then.
Probably, indeed. Educated, at least.
Yeah.
And, of course, he's a man of science. Of course, he's studied lots of things having to do with science. And he's got an honorable place in society. Honorable means respectable. People respect you. They have honor for you. And this, of course, is civilized society. So he's no savage. He's not some dirty, homeless person living in an alley somewhere. He's a pretty high-class kind of guy.
Yeah, if someone calls you uncivilized, it means you have bad manners. But back then, it was a very big deal to be a gentleman. Men always treated the ladies very nicely. There were definitely better manners at that point in time. If you were belonging to the middle class and upper class, of course, the lower class, they weren't very mannerly. They weren't very refined. Now, the evil side of this guy, he named him Mr. Hyde. He was animalistic. He acted more like an animal, going after what he wanted, not caring about other people's feelings. And he was also violently tempered. So he had a violent temper. If you get really, really angry, but you add that word violent, means you actually hurt people. You're out there to damage somebody. So violent, if someone's violent, it's worse than just being angry. They're going to hurt people. So he was a lowlife. We still use this word today. If you call someone a lowlife, they're kind of a jerk. He's a lowlife, someone who is never respected by anybody. So he was pretty awful. I wonder why Dr. Jekyll even made the potion. It turned him into this guy who had no morals or didn't have any feeling of guilt. So he could do anything he wanted, unlike an honorable man. He could do anything he wanted and never feel bad about it. I think it's interesting that Dr. Jekyll even made this potion and then was willing to take it. It sounds like Dr. Jekyll wanted to do some really evil, bad things and not be caught.
Could be. Sometimes we might just get sick of being so nice and polite and stuff like that. Sometimes we'd like to really let let loose and be mean once in a while. Maybe that's how he was thinking.
He is really evil, though. Like, he killed people.
Yeah, that could never happen to me. Of course, I'm a fine person.
Yes.
I would never think about doing something like that. But here in the next paragraph, it says, by becoming Hyde, Jekyll finds a secret outlet for his primal, uncivilized urges. So I guess this kind of answers your question here. He does want this outlet. An outlet is something or some way in which you let things go.
Let off steam, we say.
Indeed.
Right?
Maybe you are kind of tired of always being respectable and having pressure from people, and they expect you to behave a certain way. So every once in a while, you kind of cut loose, maybe, by going to a dance club or something and letting loose,
much,
or drinking beer or something like that, getting yourself plastered, getting yourself drunk.
I think that's people do drink sometimes to lose that sense of morality. You know, you can do things when you're drunk that you would never do if you were sober. So, yeah, he wanted a secret outlet for his primal. Primal here means animalistic. It's a similar word. If someone's very primal, it means they're acting more like an animal than a human being. And he had these uncivilized urges. An urge is this feeling inside that you really want to do something and it's hard to stop yourself. I get urges for donuts all the time. I have the strong urge to eat a donut every day. But you kind of have to, you know, control yourself. Sounds like that's why he made the potion. He wanted a way to do bad things without being responsible.
And this transformation is related to the Victorian values of reputation, secrecy, and repression. So maybe those are the things that he was trying to find an outlet from. These Victorian values. You had to worry about your reputation, which means how people think of you. Are you respectable in society? Are you a university professor or the boss of a big company? Are you behaving yourself and stuff like that? Are you a good family man, etc.? Do you have a good reputation? And also sometimes you got to be secret. That's secrecy here. You've got to hide your dark side. You can't let other people know what's going on. You can't, put your dirty laundry out in public. You've got to keep things nice and secret. And there's also repression here, which means you hold things back. You can't really let yourself go. You can't hang out with certain people. You can't go to certain places. And sometimes you think, boy, these restrictions are just really bad. I just kind of want to have some freedom here. I'm tired of being a prisoner to society. And that's what these Victorian values were all about. So yes, indeed, that's probably why he was trying to find this outlet for these primal, uncivilized urges. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in today's lesson. Let's take a little bit of time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要继续来看第16单元。好，我们主要探讨的作品是 Robert Louis Stevenson 的 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 当然，它的全名是 The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 不过你要知道，这两个主角基本上是同一个人，而这两个主角所代表的含义是什么呢？我们就要来深入的探讨。当然，很有意思的就是这同一个人表现出来的两个面，一善一恶，而这善恶之间的冲突，在他的内心世界里面，其实是充满的像一个monster-like world， 那是一个像是动物的世界跟文明世界之间的差距。我们看到第一段就说到，所以提到化身博士这个作品的主题是什么呢？第一个讲的就是 duality of human nature， 人的双重本性。我们不见得都同意，但是我们仔细想想，在外在的世界跟内心的世界里，是不是有一种冲突呢？好，那他这边就提到了在 Jekyll 的信里头，他其实就说到人类它是一个 commingled out of good and evil。 我们知道 commingle 这个字就是混合，也就是 mix， 就是 blend， 就是 merge。 人就是善跟恶的一种综合体，混合而成的。而且人不是只有一面，是两面，所以我们用到 duality。 dual D-U-A-L 就是双重的。那接下来我们就来看，就以 Dr. Jekyll 他来说， 他善良的那一面是一个 gentleman， 是绅士的，是很有礼貌的。而他邪恶的那一面呢，他却是一个有兽性而且脾气暴躁的卑劣之人。看到这些形容词之间的对照，其实蛮有趣的。不过谈到卑劣之人，用到了一个 low life。low life 其实指的是低等生物。那他说是一个 violent temper low life。我们看到violent tempered 这个形容词是一个复合形容词，而且我们知道复合形容词有很多种，那这一种呢，它就是一个形容词，然后后面接的是名词加 ed 哦。名词加 ed 我们有时候说它是假分词，就是表现出来的就很像是一个分词，当然它并不是动词变来，而是名词变来的。好，那我们以后还会陆续看到这篇文章里面其实还有类似的复合形容词的组合。那接下来我们就来看Dr. Jekyll 他其实呢，他在变成 Hyde， 也就是好像有一个原始的野蛮的欲望的一个秘密发泄管道一样，因为那就是他内在的那种 monster-like world， 也就是像野兽一般的世界。这点其实是非常冲突也非常有趣的。好，我们来看看这边有几个单字，像 reputation， 像repression 这几个字，尤其是 repression 代表的是压抑。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about some of the themes and ideas that were contained in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by our author, Robert Louis Stevenson. I think it's really a brilliant plot. I think it's a brilliant idea to come up with this. I think we talk about this more nowadays, but back then, I'm sure this was really a very unique novel when it was first published, especially in Victorian-era England, because people were supposed to obey all of these societal, if that's an adjective, societal rules, much more so than America even. When we went to the Chinese teacher, we were talking about how Jekyll finds this secret outlet for these uncivilized urges or feelings to do bad things through his invention of Mr. Hyde and that potion that he drank that would help him transform into someone else. Transformation, if you transform, it means you change from one thing to another. You can use it to talk about rooms. I'm transforming my extra room into a library in my apartment. So this transformation is related to the values that Tom was explaining of always caring about your reputation, being very secret, never letting anything bad loose. You don't want people to know what you're really like, and repressing those feelings by just always controlling yourself and never giving in to some of those urges. So educated upper-class men of the time were expected to demonstrate morality and respectability. I've been reading, for the past year, I've been reading a lot of books that were set in like the 1850s to the 1890s. And so I've been reading a lot about this time, and there were such really strict rules about this. The men couldn't even talk to another female unless somebody else had introduced them first. I mean, there were all of these crazy rules that they had to obey to be respectable. So I can see why he kind of went crazy.
Right, so everything sort of depended on you demonstrating how moral you were, your morality.
Upstanding.
And, of course, your respectability or how respectable you were, how people respect you and stuff like that. And changing into Hyde allows Jekyll to maintain his reputation as a good-natured and esteemed scientist, while secretly freeing his evil side, which is repressed by the laws of society. So he's able to change into Mr. Hyde, so therefore Dr. Jekyll can continue to be a moral and respectable person to maintain his reputation and, of course, to let people keep thinking that he's an esteemed scientist. Esteemed here just means respected. You are a respectable scientist, but he can free his evil side. He can go off and cut loose if he becomes Mr. Hyde. Hopefully, Mr. Hyde does not look like Dr. Jekyll, so people will be able to associate the two together. It's kind of a split personality, I guess. Maybe he puts on a disguise or something when he becomes Mr. Hyde. And, of course, that evil side is often repressed by the laws of society. It's kept under wraps. You cannot be that way in English society at the time.
Another central aspect or important point of the novel is the potential dangers of drug use. Aha. Yeah, sometimes, you use an illegal drug. These days, they're illegal drug once or twice, and you kind of think, oh, this is great. But once you get addicted, it's over. You are dependent on that drug. You can't just make free choices anymore. That drug is controlling you. So if you have a reliance on something or somebody, it means you depend on them. You trust them. You can have a reliance on someone or a reliance on something like cigarettes or alcohol or illegal drugs. Those things are not good. So reliance on potions changed everything because he had to rely on them. And they had potentially dangerous effects. Back then, everything in medicine was just new. They were learning how to do surgery. They were learning about different diseases and things. It was a really kind of an exciting time back then. I'm glad I live now, though. We have much better medicine and doctors nowadays. So strong new pain relief drugs like laudanum and cocaine were easily available for medical problems like Stevenson's lifelong respiratory illness, which I think was asthma. I'm going to say that. Now, if you're talking about relief, it's something that takes away stress and gives you a feeling of reassurance and relaxation. So pain relief is really important for people who are really in pain. Laudanum was the primary painkiller that they had back then. It was pretty easy to get your hands on it. You didn't have to go and get a prescription. It wasn't regulated by the government. Pretty much anybody could get it. So it was like opium. It deadened pain, but it also was very addictive.
Indeed. So you'll get relief from the pain if you take these drugs, but again, you might get addicted to these drugs. And that was the theme or a theme of life in the late 1800s there. And again, laudanum and cocaine were easily available then. If you had medical problems like Stevenson had, he had this lifelong respiratory illness. Of course, cocaine is very much illegal now. Ooh. Laudanum, I think that no longer exists anymore, but we've got morphine. But again, you can only get that if it's prescribed to you from a doctor. Or what's the other one? The one that starts
Oxycontin.
with O? Yeah, there are different kinds of painkillers that you can get. Opium, yes. Well, that makes morphine. No, that makes heroin, right? I don't know if heroin can be prescribed by a doctor. I'm not quite sure.
Laudanum is actually a form of opium. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was one of those drugs. So they're all really good to kill pain, but they're also very addictive. So long term, the effects are not good. So however, it says these were often highly addictive. You can get addicted by just using something too much, and suddenly your body has to have it to function. And it caused dependency. So if it causes dependency, it means you rely on it. It's clear that Jekyll became addicted to his potion because he had to go through withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal symptoms today are felt by people who maybe stop drinking. Maybe they're alcoholics and they decide to stop drinking. They get shaky. They start sweating. It's very hard. And I think it goes on for maybe a couple days, a week, if you have to get off something you're addicted to. It's tough because your body wants it.
Yeah, I used to smoke many years ago, so when I quit, I went through withdrawal symptoms. You kind of get nervous, you really feel you want to have a cigarette and stuff like that. Sometimes I would have laughing spells where I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, dear.
That's probably an example of withdrawal symptoms, but it didn't last too long. After about a month, I was okay, and I haven't smoked in many, many years. So here, his withdrawal symptoms included isolating himself, which means you kind of separate yourself from everybody else. You are isolated. And then he was being aggressive toward others until he could get the next dose. So if you're aggressive, that means you're basically attacking other people, maybe yelling at them, calling them names and stuff like that. You're not being polite to them at all. And this story is a chilling portrait of a respectable man ruined by his own brilliant creation. He tried to release his inner demons, but he suffered in the end. And I guess we can all learn a lesson from that.
Really is an amazing story. Okay, guys, one more time we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher and then we'll be back.
好，那我们看到这个善恶之间的冲突，我们要了解在当时的时代背景里面，一个受过教育、一个上层社会的人，他要表现出来，照理来说，就是应该像一个 gentleman， 非常有道德，非常的体面。可是当他变成了 Hyde， 就好像是让他黑暗的那一面获得了解放，也就是原来他不能够在外面做出来给人家看到的那一面是透过另外一个人去表现。好，再来我们继续来看这本小说，它其实刚刚提到一个主题是人的双重本性 Duality of Human Nature， 另外还有一个主题，那就是谈药物使用的潜在危机。好，在当时的时代背景里面，其实有一些新型的止痛药像鸦片酊，像骨科碱。好，那我们知道在医药这边的用药上面，当然跟 Stevenson 作者本身有关。我们记得吗？他身体不好，他有呼吸系统的毛病，所以他必须要吞止痛药，而这些强效的止痛药对他的身体而言也造成了一些问题，比如说会因为用止痛药而上瘾 addictive， 而且这个 addictive 的意思就是你对药有了 dependency， 有了依赖性。那所以相对的，在他写的小说里面，其实 Jekyll 他就有同样的表现，他吞进的 potion 让他换身成为 Hyde， 可是他却没办法戒断，他会一直对这个药水产生上瘾的情形，所以他没办法克制自己，会想要吞这个药水变成 Hyde。 好，还有后面有一个字叫 withdrawal， 我们知道 withdraw 没有 al 之前是它的动词形式，这个代表退缩，而这里就是有点想要抽离，而这种所谓的戒断症状 withdrawal symptoms， 也就是你没办法离开它，如果你离开就会产生一些行为，像是攻击别人，或者是像是做出一些不理性的行为。好，那谈到这里，我们知道这其实就是它第二个主题了。好，我们今天的讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
That's all for today, everybody. Please join us again next time for another edition of our program. We look forward to seeing you then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie. See
Bye.
ya.